Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Today is just going to be a video in regards to the conversations that I've had with some people this past week and the week prior on the question of I want to get into Bitcoin. Should I get into Bitcoin? Uh, I wanna ride this train, so to speak, and this This is a very difficult kind of question to ask, especially where we are right now. Now, I'm assuming that most of whoever watches this video, whoever stumbles upon my channel, already has some semblance of the cryptocurrency market. They're already invested in Bitcoin, they're invested in altcoins, and they're just, searching the web for different perspectives from different people. But I'm assuming that in the coming weeks, the coming months, uh, a certain percentage of whoever watches this are going to be new people. They're going to be uh, green. They've never been in cryptocurrency before, and they see that Bitcoin is at $39,000, $40,000, $45,000, $50,000, etc., and wondering should they get into Bitcoin? And you could probably already make the argument that that's already happening. I mean, it's happening with me. I'm sure it's happening with anyone who's watching this who has been in cryptocurrency for a certain amount of time, that their friends or family comes and talks to them about it. And uh, basically, my answer to all of them was, well, for the people who are already new uh, and who trade stocks or other financial instruments, I already have an idea of what their risk tolerance is because we have conversations about, not just cryptocurrency. I don't talk to them just about cryptocurrency, but talk to them about stocks and the financial market, etc. And I already have some kind of idea of what their risk tolerance is. And for those people, I would say, you know what, maybe it's not the best time. And I say that uh, in the idea that I know what their risk tolerance is, and B, where we are right now in the cycle. This cycle has accelerated faster than I've ever anticipated. To tell me in 9 months ago that we'd be at $40,000, I'd say, give me the number of your dealer, um, because I'm really curious what you're smoking. But here we are, and now we see it on the news. We're seeing a lot of comments about the bullishness of Bitcoin. The fear and greed index is in the high 90s. There's all of these other indicators that tell us, and anecdotal references to say that, we're in the next phase of this move up, of media frenzy. There's going to be a lot of new buyers. And for people like you and I, who've been holding cryptocurrencies for quite some time, know that we need those new buyers in order to propel the price exponentially higher. We kind of need those people in, those retail investors, uh, and and to some degree there is, and for those who come to me and ask me, should I buy Bitcoin? I I I tell them you can, and you might make some money off of it, but be aware of where we're at right now. That there's going to be people like me who I've already said on this channel that I've begun to sell my position on Bitcoin. I've sold roughly 12% of my Bitcoin position already. And essentially, I'm handing my bags off to you. And when I say you, I'm talking about the people who've asked me about it. And they have to be okay with that idea. They have to be okay that in the short term that we might correct. As I've already said in a previous video, if in 2 weeks' time Bitcoin hits $50,000, the RSI is going to be roughly at 100, and I would call a local top there. I would argue that that's entirely on the cards. It could not. It could simply ignore it. And that is the scary thing and the exciting thing about where we are in bubbles. We can bring up the 2017 bubble. No one knows where the top is. No one does. I don't care who you are. No one does. We can say that we do. We can bring out arguments on why or why not, and they can make sense. They don't have to, but they could make sense, and Bitcoin can totally ignore it. The thing about a bubble is hard to discern if we are really in a bubble. And if we are in a bubble, we don't know when it's going to pop. And that is the gamble that everyone coming in now is willing to take. So for whoever's watching this video, I ask yourself, are you willing to risk your whatever you're willing to put into Bitcoin? What is your risk tolerance? Are you okay with 30% corrections? Are you okay with 40? Are you okay with Bitcoin coming back down to $20,000 roughly for an extended period of time? Those are all plausible scenarios that could happen. They don't have to happen, but they could happen. And what is your timeline? Because I think for people who buy in now and ride the wave and they sell, they can make quite a bit of money. For people with a longer term or are greedier, they might get burned, and that's the honest truth. They might get burned, and they might not see short sight of a longer term trend. I think buying here is extremely risky. I'm not buying here, but for someone who has not have any exposure to Bitcoin, this could be a spot you might be considering of buying into. Uh, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. Remember, I only sold roughly 12%. I hold 88% of my Bitcoin still 88%. I expect it to go higher. I expect it to go much higher. But that doesn't preclude me to think that we won't see a correction. And for the people that are getting in now, they are going to experience they potentially might experience a burn that they weren't really expecting. And that's the thing. Like with the media frenzy like this, with all the comments, it's really really hard to imagine Bitcoin coming down. As even with me, right? We've been blessed and privileged to see 4 months of 30 plus, except for the month of October, but over 30% gains month over month over month. Right? This is a blessing. This is kind of getting us spoiled, and we forget what a correction really looks like. And those corrections would come, are gonna come. Could be tomorrow, could be next week. I don't know, but they will come. Again, I've made videos on where I think it might be, but Bitcoin doesn't have to respect that. And for people who are new, who are um, greedy, and I don't mean that in a bad way. We're all to some degree greedy. We're all here to make money, right? So they might be a little. They might be wearing rose-colored glasses, so to speak, when getting into Bitcoin now, because it's just so great. And that is my essential response for people who want to buy Bitcoin. For most, you will most likely be bailed out even if you buy up here. For and if you, and you might experience a sharp downturn in the near future. So my response in the end is, probably the best idea is to lump sum, buy a position, that you're somewhat comfortable with, and every week, every 2 weeks, bi-weekly, or every month, dollar cost average your position. And finally, keep a leveled head. I can't say that enough. It's hard, I understand. It's very hard, especially when Bitcoin's moving up so high so quickly. But keep in mind, there are people who have bought Bitcoin at $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, where they're up 600%. If we measure it from 48.41 and measure it to where we are right now, we are up 700%. There are people who are up 700%, and they're going to give their bags to you. And for the people buying up here, don't uh, don't necessarily expect 700% return. And that's just and I think that's the most important part. Don't expect the same returns as for someone who's bought down here, because I don't think it's going to happen. To put in perspective, a 700% gain from here brings us to roughly $300,000, which I think is preposterous, and I don't think it's going to happen. If you think that's going to happen, go right ahead. Uh, mortgage your house, remortgage your house, refinance it, and buy here. But I don't think 700% is on the table right now for Bitcoin. I don't think it's going to happen. So remember that, and and that's why keeping a level head is important, because when everyone's saying it's going up and up and up, you are going to be convinced that it's going to go up another 600% to $300,000. And I simply don't think that's going to happen. And I think that is the kind of mentality that burns people. There are several videos on YouTube. I've talked about this briefly, but there are several videos that talk about lengthening cycles, talks about patterns in macrospective Bitcoin. Okay, Data Dash is one. Uh, Benjamin Cohen is another. Uh, these channels really talk about a macro perspective, which I think is important for a lot of people. Um, and I do talk about it as well. I certainly don't think Bitcoin's going to go up to $300,000. I think $100,000 is probably a lot more reasonable and attainable. But even that, you guys, by $100,000, I'm going to be mostly out. I think that's I might hold a little bit until that time, but I'll probably mostly be out. I'll let the speculators speculate between $80,000 to $100,000, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I've been greedy. I'm still greedy because I'm still in it, but I understand that there's a time to take profits, and now is the time for that to start happening. I'm not gonna again dump my entire position now, but over time I will be letting go of my position. And I think those are the things that new people really have to take into consideration. Understand where we are, understand that there's people who've bought at $5,000, understand that we're already up 800% from the lows of March, and understand that the party's still going, but last call is in 10 minutes, right? And after last call, the party's going to be over. And you definitely don't want to be the one uh, that's left. I really don't think you want to be there. I sure as don't want to be there. And this channel is all about not being the last person in the party, I think, at least to some degree. Anyway, I hope that clears things up for anyone who's new that's watching this video. Um, Bitcoin has been an asset that has changed a lot of people's lives. It's a an asset that's has a phenomenal pattern of boom and bust cycles that, when taken advantage of, can make you a lot of money. But at the same time, Bitcoin is a zero sum game. There are going to be people that are lose a lot of money, and there's going to be people who gain a lot of money, and that's just it. The idea is to not to be the one that's left at the party, because you do not want to be here holding your bags. You don't want to be the one who bought here and you wake up one day and your portfolio is just down 80-90%. Anyway, that's all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.